You're going to your
Yeah.
8th Sweet 16 with Kentucky. No other school has as many Sweet 16 appearances as your program since you arrived there. So how is life for John Calipari right now?
Well, if we don't get to a Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, they'll probably ask me to take another job. But that's different. This is what's different with here. But no, we're having a ball. It's great young kids. Started 4 freshmen, both NCAA tournament games, and survived. So I'm happy.
John Calipari joining us. Now, Cal, P.J. Washington did post a video of himself walking without a boot, and you retweeted the video with the caption, "Uh-oh." So what is his status for Friday? How is he right now?
Don't know. He didn't practice today, but, he's out of the cast, which I told everybody. He's moving around, but, will he play? It's day to day. I'm hoping that he gets some time and so that we see where he is.
Kentucky head coach John Calipari, my guest. Cal, I had Kelvin Sampson on the show yesterday, and he talked about how hard your guys play, that to beat a team like Wofford that plays incredibly hard, and to do it without P.J. Washington says so much. So let me get your thoughts. How impressed were you with that performance on Saturday, especially defensively?
No, I had a choice to make, and it was funny. I'm talking to Brad Stevens, and he understood what it was. If I put Tyler Hero on McGee, it's going to hurt his offense. And he went 2 for 11, but he held McGee to 0 for 12. And so he was willing to give up offense to play defense. And I think that was a big part of it. I thought our bigs did really good. But let me talk about Houston. Old school, he and I coach about the same. We're not going crazy, stretching out. We're going to make it a tough shot. Our teams are both going to rebound. His team offensive rebounds as good as anybody. They're number 1 in defense points and field goal percentage and 2-point field goal percentage and offensive. I mean, he's done unbelievable work with his team and that program. And he's a good friend. He and I have been friends for a long time.
Talking to John Calipari, yeah, I'm a big Kelvin Sampson guy too, Cal. They play so hard. Man, they play so hard every single possession. I know you just got into this, but when you look at Houston, what's your number one concern? And then ultimately, what do you think that game comes down to?
Well, one, they got guards that can really play and put it on the bounce and create for their bigs. Their bigs are really, really active. But if they offensive rebound, hard to beat them. If their energy is beyond yours, hard to beat them. They've been in a bunch of close games, so it's never over. And, Calvin coaches as good as anybody. In my opinion, he should be coach of the year in the country. But that's probably a kiss of death. You know that. If I say that, he ain't getting the votes he should. I shouldn't have done that.
I don't know. Johnny said some really nice things about you, too, which I'll get to in a minute. But going back to your point about energy, can you teach or coach energy? Can you teach or coach effort, or do you have to have guys bring that with them when they get to Lexington?
It's all how they train and everyday practices. Do they then carry it over into games, or are they just, thinking they're just playing basketball against another team? When you're playing teams at this time, everybody's going to fight like crazy. And if you don't, your season ends. So my hope is, here's the issue I had. We're down to 8 players. If I get one guy hurt in practice, we probably got a forfeit. So now you're like, okay, how do we keep this energy going without being overly competitive? Because if we are and someone gets hurt, we're going to have a problem. So we got through today's practice, and every day we get through practice and no one gets hurt, I go, whew, good, let's go, next day.
John Calipari, my guest, is such a good point. And they got to practice hard, but you're down to 8 guys. And something else you mentioned, the freshmen, right? You're doing this on a short turnaround for the second game of a tournament weekend with freshmen. You guys have been playing at a high level for a long time. You might even argue that freshmen are no longer freshmen this time of year, but they are, and the NCAA tournament's a different beast. How do you go about making sure they're mentally and psychologically prepared for the tournament and the quick turnarounds?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm on with this team and these guys, play to your training. We practice every day. We compete every day. Everything's a process. We build on the day before. Play to the training. Don't play to the other team. Don't play to the tournament. Don't play to TV. Don't play to craziness. Just play to the training. How are we asking you to guard pick and roll? How are we asking you to guard pin downs, which we've done every day? How are we asking you offensively when you drive to play? What are we looking for that we've been trained to look for? Every day, play to the training, especially in this tournament. If you get away from that, if you get away from what you've been trained to do, the game slippage, reverting back to high school, I'm going to make this high school play, now you got problems.
Kentucky head coach John Calipari joining us. Big one coming up this weekend. You know, Cal, I had Mark Few on also on the show. Good friend of yours. And we had to address this notion of your ability to survive in the Alaskan wilderness. Of course, he spends a lot of time outdoors. He knows you. He respects you. He considers you a very good friend. He told me as much. But he says that you would need to stay on the deck of a 5-star hotel in Alaska and eat caviar. Cal, are people sleeping on your ability to rough it in the great outdoors?
Can you imagine? You know why I go off the grid with him? Because I could outrun him, and if a bear was chasing him, I'd be good.
Cal, I don't know that any one of us can outrun bears. They run fast.
Well, they only got to catch one of us, and I know I can outrun him.
There you go. There you go. There you go. You know, the funny thing about that story, Cal, and that's a great line right there. The whole story had members of your family jumping on Twitter to discuss your ability to survive. I could go person by person throughout the family, but I do want to take a moment for a Dr. Aaron Calipari, the principal investigator at the Vanderbilt Center for Addiction Research. Who is that, and how much pride do you have in the work that she's doing when it comes to drug addiction?
Well, she and I went back and forth the other day, and I told her, I said, you know, anytime you can have an impact on other people's lives in a positive way, you've lived a good life. And I said, what you're doing is special and unique, and, you know, there's a lot of people doing it. And I said, just make sure you surround yourself with good people who are driven and wired to do good things, and you're going to have a good life. Her husband is also into research, a little different research than she's doing, but he's going to work at Vanderbilt too. And, you know, it's 3 hours from us. My wife spends time up there. I spend time up there. It's pretty good.
Cal, who is she?
Who? She's crazy.
No, who?
My daughter.
There you go. It's your daughter, isn't it?
My daughter. Now, let me say this about both my girls. Megan, too. If you come after me, those two are coming after you. They're crazy, both of them.
That's how it should be, Cal. And I know you're not addressing that at me, Cal. I'm pro you.
No.
You know that. You know that.
No.
I'd say it again. I'm not the poop in the ice cream, Cal. You know this already. Unless they take offense to this. Cal, listen, here's a question that this is not – I'm not singling you out, but you know this. You and I have done this a long time. When I'm talking to a coach who's having a lot of success, I have to ask them the question, and you're not the only one. I've done this like 10 times already in the Sweet 16. How they deal with the attention that comes with other programs calling and offering a job. Your name came up in connection with the UCLA job. Considering where you are, considering how you're doing, considering how much you like where you are, what was your reaction this time when that came up?
Well, I just, you know, sometimes you don't know if someone's trying to, you know, mess around, and a lot of times it'll be NBA things. And here's it. Do you know how old I am now?
Okay, I'm going to say, Cal, you're 56.
Very good. That's exactly right. No, I'm a little older.
What do I get? Okay.
I'm at that point where, okay, what we build here, how we sustain it, what we're doing to continue to impact lives, the impact we can have not only with the players in the program here, this stage is the biggest of big stages, but also in the city and the state with the Big Blue Nation and moving people in a positive way. This is one of those places, not just basketball, that I've had great joy, and it moves me because you can make a difference. I'm not sure, other than winning games and doing stuff, the NBA, what kind of difference do you have in the town? What kind of difference do you make for young people? What kind of, I mean, you can do it, but you don't have the time. Here at Kentucky, I can coach basketball, get really good players who are really good kids and students, give them lifetime scholarships. You know, there's over $2 billion in salaries in the NBA, and it's current. But the other kids are graduating. My son graduates, you know, my son plays for me, graduates in 3 years. He's the fourth player I had that graduated in 3 years. So it's more than just basketball. You know, it moves me in other ways.
Hey, Cal, I got about a minute left. We talked about your daughters. What's it like to have your son along for this ride?
Unbelievable. Every day I see him, I give him a hug, I give him a kiss. You know, he redshirted because he's going to have 2 years to play if he chooses to. You know, he can go to another school, a smaller school where he'll play more. But I think he'll stay here. You know, I got to deal with every day going home, and you won't believe this. I sleep with that kid's mother. And now all of a sudden, if I'm not playing him, what's going on?
Wow.
You know, he's efficient. You know, I got to deal with a lot of stuff here now.
You do, Cal. It's not easy being you, Cal, and you do sleep with that kid's mother. I get it. Cal, listen, I know you're not doing a lot of radio this week. I appreciate you making the effort. You made your annual jungle pilgrimage in March.
I love it.
I appreciate it very much.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
You too, Cal. Always appreciate you. John Calipari closing the show.